What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be not talking about injuries. Shocking, I know. But today we are going to be talking about a tweet that I saw from my main man, Warren Sharp, my good friend, my best buddy, my SoCal pal. No, I don't know Warren Sharp personally, but don't tell him that. So Warren Sharp tweeted out, I think this was yesterday he tweeted this out, maybe a couple days ago at this point, maybe 2 days ago. He tweeted out, I'll put it up on screen probably around here somewhere so you guys can see it. He tweeted out, predict the 5 starting quarterbacks for week 1. I have it right here in front of me, so if you see me looking, that's where I'm looking. Predict the 5 starting quarterbacks for week 1, and he gives a list of teams, well, not a list of teams, but a list of quarterback competitions that have yet to be decided. Number 1 is Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock for Denver. Who's going to be the starting quarterback there? Number 2 is Trey Lance or Jimmy G for the 49ers. Number 3 is Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston for the Saints. Number 4 is Andy Dalton or Justin Fields for the Bears. And number 5 is my New England Patriots, Cam Newton or Mac Jones. So, obviously, I was like, hey, that's a good video idea. Why don't I try and predict these 5 starting quarterbacks for week number 1? I think I'll go 5 for 5. So, starting with number 1, the Denver Broncos. Who do I think is going to be the number 1 starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos in week number 1? Well, it's going to be good old-fashioned Teddy Bridgewater. That's right. Teddy Bridgewater will be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos when they take the field in week number 1 because both of these guys suck. It's just facts. Teddy Two Gloves, I love him as a person. I love that he wears 2 gloves when he plays quarterback. That's why I call him Teddy Two Gloves if you didn't know. But he's better than Drew Lock, which isn't saying a lot. And I think that Teddy will get the nod and be the starting quarterback for week 1. Number 2 is Trey Lance and Jimmy G. Now, Trey Lance and Jimmy G is a little bit of an easier one. Now, I'm not saying this is what they are gonna do because of the way that Jimmy Garoppolo has looked in practice and looked in preseason. But Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback of this team. I've talked about this in the past. It's the same with Justin Fields. It's the same with Mac Jones. I've talked about this in the past. There's quarterbacks that you draft that need to start week 1. Need to start right away. Guys like Trevor Lawrence. Guys like Andy Dalton. Guys like Andrew Luck. There's guys that start week 1 because they're in bad situation. When Andy Dalton got drafted, he was to the Bengals in a bad situation. He needed to start. When Trevor Lawrence got drafted this past season, he got drafted to a bad situation in Jacksonville. He needs to start. But a guy like Trey Lance, who played in a lesser football division at North Dakota State, he played less football in general at North Dakota State because North Dakota State didn't play in 2020 except for 1 game. So he hasn't had a lot of reps. He hasn't had the same amount of reps as some of these other quarterbacks that were in this rookie class. He hasn't played against the same competition, the same level of talent as some of these quarterbacks have played in college. And in preseason, he's looked shaky. Now, there's been spots, there's been moments, I'll give him that. There's been moments where Trey Lance has looked really good. He's looked really promising. And down the line, Trey Lance is probably going to be the starter. But this season, in his rookie year, at least to start, until Jimmy G either gets hurt or proves that he just can't do it at a high level anymore, Trey Lance needs to sit. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, for better or worse, is your starting quarterback. I mean, he got to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Yes, it was based around that defense, But Jimmy Garoppolo was still making passes and making plays on the offense, and they were scoring points on the offense. And who was that quarterback? It was Jimmy Garoppolo. So if you love him or hate him, Jimmy Garoppolo is not that bad of a quarterback. He looks a little shaky in preseason. He doesn't look that great. He's lost a little bit of confidence. But if the coaching staff puts their confidence and puts all their chips in the Jimmy Garoppolo basket, maybe that'll turn his emotions around. Maybe that'll turn his focus around. Because right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is against the world right now. It's him versus the world. Because everybody wants Trey Lance to start. Everybody's just looking to push Jimmy Garoppolo to the side like he hasn't been to the Super Bowl before. So I feel like he's just getting dumped on. He's just getting no respect, nothing. It's not a fair shake for him. He doesn't, like, he's been the best guy. He's welcomed Trey Lance into the organization. He's been nothing but nice and kind to Trey Lance, and these fans just want to kick him right out the door. It's crazy. So Jimmy Garoppolo is my pick. Trey Lance needs to sit. Now, I'm not saying Trey Lance is never going to get in the start this season. He may get in like later in the year, but Jimmy Garoppolo will be the starting quarterback week number 1. Number 3 is Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston for the New Orleans Saints. Now, obviously, Drew Brees had retired this past offseason, so they were looking for a quarterback, and all the signs were pointing to Taysom Hill because all the people, all the smart football reporters were saying that Taysom Hill is this hidden gem. Taysom Hill is this untapped potential. There's so much untapped potential there. Sean Payton needs to get Taysom Hill to start because he's such a great athlete. But there's the key word. Taysom Hill is a great athlete. I won't take that away from him. Taysom Hill is a really good athlete. He can play running back, tight end, fullback, receiver, special teams, quarterback even. But there's a reason. There's a reason. And I go back to some notable backup quarterbacks in history. Nick Foles, especially. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Castle, notable guys that have been career backups. Taysom Hill falls into this category because there's a reason why nobody gave him the start at quarterback his entire career. And it's not because he was undervalued. It's not because nobody took him seriously. No, it's not because of that. It's not because Sean Payton is some genius quarterback whisperer that's going to magically make Taysom Hill a great quarterback in this league. Taysom Hill is a backup at best at quarterback. He can go and play wide receiver or tight end or fullback or running back or whatever. He can be a utility guy. And he can even play some wildcat spots if they need him to. But I had this argument with Tim Tebow. I've had this argument with Urban Meyer back at Ohio State with Tate Martell. Guys like that are not good NFL quarterbacks. They are bigger guys. Tate Martell, not so much bigger guy, but they are athletic. They are freak talents, athletic beyond belief. Tim Tebow is an athletic freak. He's not a quarterback. And Taysom Hill falls into the Tim Tebow realm of comparison. Taysom Hill out of BYU is not a quarterback. He may have been a very good college quarterback, just like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, top 3 best quarterbacks of all time in college. Maybe even number 1. There's definitely an argument. I would make that argument that he would be number 1. But Taysom Hill, very good college quarterback, not a good NFL quarterback. And I'm not saying Jameis Winston is any better. But between the two, I would rather have the guy that started multiple 16-week seasons in the NFL in Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston is he's not the best option, but he's the best option you have between the two. And you can also put Taysom Hill in wildcat packages. You can put him in halfback option packages. You can put him in, get him on the field if you want him on the field because he's a great athlete. He's a great talent, but he's not your starting quarterback. Jameis Winston is your starting quarterback. Now, Jameis Winston did throw a 30-30 season, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. But he's been in that offense now for a full season. He's learning how to work it. And I think that Jameis Winston is going to be the starting quarterback for week 1. At least that's what I would do. I would put Jameis Winston in starting quarterback for week 1. What I feel like is going to happen is Taysom Hill will get the start at quarterback in week 1. I feel like Sean Payton's going to do that. But my prediction, what I feel like is going to happen is Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback, but what I want to happen, what should happen, is Jameis Winston should be the quarterback. Now, is that a cop-out? Probably, but that's just what I think is going to happen. Number 4 is the Chicago Bears and Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Now, this is a very easy one to guess because the Bears have basically come out and guaranteed it since Andy Dalton signed on the dotted line. Andy Dalton's going to be the starter week 1. Now, is that the right move? Probably not. Probably not the right move. But is it the move that they're going to make? Oh, yeah, 100%. If there was any quarterback battle on here that I was more confident about that was going to be right, it would be this one and the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo one. Those two are the most confident that I am. Jimmy Garoppolo will be the starter week 1, whether you like it or not. And Andy Dalton will be the starter week 1, whether you like it or not. Whether you think Justin Fields is better or not. Whether you think that he deserves to be the starter, which I feel like he deserves to be the starter because they drafted him in the first round. Justin Fields deserves to be the starter. So Andy Dalton hasn't done one thing for the Bears, and yet he's going to be the starter. So do I think it's the right decision? No. I feel like Justin Fields, like I said, should be the starting quarterback week number 1, but he's not going to be. Matt Nagy is so stubborn and so set in his ways that he will make Andy Dalton the starting quarterback. He will force it to happen. He will manifest it into existence to happen because he is so steadfast and so stubborn that he is going to make this work. Will it work? Probably not, because Andy Dalton is a backup. Andy Dalton is a career backup. We knew that from the start. Once he started losing playoff games in Cincinnati, we knew Andy Dalton didn't have it. He didn't have it. He looked decent in Dallas before that concussion. Decent, but that was, again, as a backup coming in, no expectations, just filling a role. He needs to be a backup. And Justin Fields, the Bears' offensive line's not great. I'll give him that. So worrying about Justin Fields' health is definitely a concern. But Justin Fields is a good enough athlete where I think he'll be fine. And you're not going to break his confidence. You're not going to ruin him as a young quarterback like Dwayne Haskins, because I hear that comparison because they're both Ohio State quarterbacks, and Dwayne Haskins is kind of technically a bust at this point, but we won't get there yet. And that's a whole different situation because Dwayne Haskins has got a lot of off-the-field maturity issues to figure out before he ever figures it out on the field. So Justin Fields is not anything like that. So comparing them is completely out of, you can't do that. You can't compare the two. So Justin Fields deserves to be the starter, but my prediction is Andy Dalton is going to be the starter week 1. No, not my prediction. My guarantee is that Andy Dalton is going to be the starter week number 1. And number 5, Cam Newton or Mac Jones. Now, this is from my New England Patriots, and going off of the first couple of preseason games that I've seen, Mac Jones looks really good. He's had some good moments. He's had some shaky moments, but, he's a rookie. And he only started one full season at Alabama, so what can you really expect? You can't expect him to come in and light it up because that's just not feasible. Cam Newton's looked good too, but he's also looked shaky. He's looked very inconsistent. And Cam Newton's going to be the starter week 1. That's my prediction because Bill Belichick, I just don't think he feels confident starting a rookie week 1. I think Bill Belichick, in all his glorious wisdom, and that's not with sarcasm or anything, he does have glorious wisdom, I feel like he believes in Cam Newton to get the season started. Now, will Mac Jones eventually win the starting job? Maybe. Maybe he wins it in practice. Maybe he impresses in practice enough to be able to get that starting job halfway through the season or towards the end of the season. I don't know. Maybe Cam gets hurt or falls under protocols again, virus protocols again, like he did just a couple of days ago and maybe even yesterday in practice. He's going to be in protocols. So maybe that happens to him again, and maybe Mac Jones just happens to fall into the starting spot. Maybe Cam gets injured. He's had a history of injuries. Something will happen where I feel like Mac Jones will get the nod at at maybe the halfway point of the season or little towards the end of the season. Now, there's also the possibility that the Patriots are not having the best of season. They're under 500. Well, there is no 500 anymore. They're under a winning record. They don't have a winning record. They have a losing record, and the season's not going anywhere. They're not going to make the playoffs, which is not what I want to happen by any means. But maybe that's the way that the season's going, and they just put in Mac Jones just to get him some live reps and get him ready so that he can be the starter. That's also a possibility. I hope that's not the way that it happens, but who knows? So my prediction is Cam will be the starter. Now, I was fully ready to end the video here, but then I scrolled down just one to see the replies to this tweet by Warren Sharp. And I saw my good friend Dan Orlovsky. We love Dan Orlovsky on this channel, don't we? Don't we love Dan Orlovsky and his outrageous opinions? Yes, yes, we do. I'm kidding, we don't. Let me show you what Dan Orlovsky had to say. I'll put it up on the screen right now. Dan Orlovsky replied to this tweet. It should be right up here. Dan Orlovsky replied to this tweet, and he gave his 5 quarterbacks. He said Teddy Bridgewater, check, agree. He said Jameis Winston, check, agree. He said Andy Dalton, check, agree. He has a throw up or a nauseous face in by Andy, which I agree with, but we both agree. He said Cam, agree. So we're 4 for 4 right here. What could go wrong? Oh, wait. Who did I skip over at number 2? He says Trey Lance should be the starting quarterback. Dan Orlovsky, what are we talking about? We can't physically put Trey Lance in the starting quarterback spot in San Francisco. Why? What? Somebody explain to me, please. I'm being serious. Somebody explain to me why Trey Lance should get the start over Jimmy Garoppolo. Please, tell me, because I'm very curious of why people think that he should. Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback. What is so hard for people to see? Yes, they spent a top 3 pick on Trey Lance. Is that their fault? Probably. Is that Jimmy Garoppolo's fault? No. Jimmy Garoppolo has done nothing except for be injured. And is that his fault? Probably. He could probably try to stay a little bit more healthy, but for the most part, no, it's not his fault. And yet he just gets pushed aside like he's nothing. Like he didn't lead a team to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago and was probably a couple passes away from winning that Super Bowl. So, for Dan Orlovsky, the ultimate wisdom mind of Dan Orlovsky to say that Trey Lance should be the starting quarterback is completely outrageous and doesn't make any sense. He should lose all his analyst credentials just for saying that, because that is completely unrealistic. Trey Lance should not be the starting quarterback. He's barely got any reps. You can't just throw him into the fire in the NFL with barely any reps, let alone any NFL reps. And he's looked shaky. He's looked inconsistent. Yes, Garoppolo's looked inconsistent too, but Garoppolo is your starting quarterback. You paid him all this money. Start him. You can't have the most expensive backup in history just because you want to start the young, raw talent that is Trey Lance. And I'm saying he's got raw talent. Trey Lance is probably going to be a starter, and he's probably going to be pretty good. But you can't start him this year. You just can't do it. At least not at the start of the season. So I just had to bring that up because I was scrolling through the comments of this tweet, and I saw Dan Orlovsky, and I read his list, and it was completely outrageous with the Trey Lance thing. So let me know down below what you guys think, if you guys agree with me, or if you guys agree with Dan Orlovsky that Trey Lance should be the starter over Jimmy Garoppolo, because if you do, you're stupid. Sorry if that's harsh, you're stupid. So that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Make sure to smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.